Hello, strangelings. Welcome back to my parlor. So today I wanted to talk about something that is both personal and massive on scale. Personal and very not personal at the same time, let's just say. Now, people who watch my channel, people who know me personally, and people who've seen my channel before the reboot especially, know that I am an extremely early childhood abuse survivor. And I know I say that a lot, but today we are actually talking about something that is directly connected to it. You see, many of us survivors, when we deal with normies in the world, we have a tendency to evoke emotions within them anytime we talk about what we've gone through. Many people in the world are very deeply uncomfortable with what we go through because of the fact that they personalize it and turn it into something weird. They give us advice based on what they know and what they would do if they had gone through this type of thing, so on and so forth. But one of the biggest issues with that is actually called Peter Pan effect. What is Peter Pan effect, you might ask? Well, the Peter Pan effect in someone's personal psyche tends to present in a more not willing to adult, not willing to grow up. And when they adult, it always looks like a little kid's tea party version of what adulting really looks like, right? This is called the Peter Pan effect, the idea that these people will never and can never, and God forbid, how dare you ask them to grow up. Now, this Peter Pan effect, however, is not just specifically in people's psyche. You see, if someone who has had a fortunate life and hasn't had to deal with abuse comes across those of us who are survivors, they have usually more of a visceral reaction to that abuse. And that visceral reaction has a tendency to be because they are internalizing what you are saying. They don't realize it. Usually we don't realize it. It usually takes somebody sensitive to the process in their own brains to really be able to suss it out for you guys. And that's just because, unfamiliarity. That's a topic for another day, though. One thing they tend to do is they look at this, usually grown adult, standing next to them, talking about this terrible thing that happened when they were a child. So, of course, the Peter Pan effect does this. Well, this is an adult, so this is a story this adult is telling me. And so they will internalize it and say, well, that doesn't sound like something I've experienced. So sometimes, just sometimes, they will sit there and tell the abuse survivor that they're in fact making it up. They are just really here to try to get the attention from making up this story about the things that happened to them. Personally, this can be very detrimental to the abuse survivor because it's no different than gaslighting. Yes, the person doing it has no idea that the person they are talking to is telling them truths that they are calling lies. But it is a form of gaslighting even if they don't know that they're doing it. And as we already know, gaslighting can have a tendency to really erode your understanding of your reality. The second way that this Peter Pan effect can present when those of us who have survived some extreme stuff are talking to the person is sometimes they'll internalize it in such a way where they're seeing us as a child. They're thinking of us as a child. And then they're seeing us hurting and thinking of us as a hurting child. So while they're thinking of us as this hurting child, they're also at the same time sitting here saying, what advice can I give this child who really is hurting and needs some? Not seeing us for the adult who has already survived the abuse itself and therefore, hopefully, have become a wiser adult with better tools to combat abuse. And no, that is not saying that we need to be wise to not be abused. Even wise people get abused. That's just saying being a little wiser means that we are at least able a little bit more to combat this type of abuse that we have suffered this time. Unfortunately. Because to understand how to fully deal with all types of abuses therefore means that you would either have to only academically know how to combat against the situation, or you have to go through hell. Being someone who has actually been through hell, I would not say that it is okay to put somebody through hell, or yourself for that matter, just so you can understand what to do if you get abused. I'm just saying that being unfortunate enough to go through these situations at least gives you the gift of a new tool to fight against it next time. However, back to the original plot of this video. So guys, the reason I'm making this video is because if you are someone who has not had the misfortune of having to be strengthened through fire, as it were, and you happen to catch yourself seeing someone who you care about, who has been talking about some abuse that they've gone through, or some abuse someone else has gone through, and you ever feel yourself saying, oh, well, this person isn't a child, so this clearly is a story. Or you feel yourself saying to yourself, oh my God, oh, that's so horrible. Let me help them figure out how not to do this again. I implore you, please do not. If you see yourself saying, oh, this is just a story, I want you to remind yourself, this is, yes, just a story, but all our lives, once we've lived a moment, that moment becomes just a story in our life. The most important bit is what you do with that story. And of course, I suggest it's always best to try to find a lesson or reason why that was a good moment in your life, even when it's not. That being said, it's not okay to tell people that it'll all be all right eventually. So don't do that to yourself either. Now, if you feel it presenting more in a this is just a story, then it's easy to start to empathize. However, if you see yourself saying, this is a story about their past, even if you feel that's a coping mechanism not to feel the fear that they felt, I invite you to do it anyway. I invite you to try to feel what they felt or what they're saying they felt in that moment. Because that's the first step to empathy. Remember, that child has grown up into this person you see before you. Remember that this person before you still does deserve empathy. So, to make sure that you feel what they are saying. And to remember it's not you, of course. Don't over-internalize. That's another bad thing that I've seen people do as well. Those of us who are empathetic, well, we internalize. Alright guys, I just wanted to make a quick video about how the Peter Pan effect actually can affect your conversations when talking to someone who's been through some mud or worse. Alright guys, well that's all I had to say. Remember guys, believe it or not, empathy can be one of your biggest tools in life, and if you don't already have it, it's a good investment to try to grow it. The other thing to remember, of course, it doesn't matter who you are, I love you, and take care of each other. And I'll see you guys in the next video.